Hi folks, I'm Gary Dunshee, Big Ben Saddlery, and for this month's Tack Tip I thought we'd talk a little bit about spurs, just a few ideas that might help you next time you're in the market for a new pair of spurs. And we'll just take it down by parts of the spur, and we're going to talk about all this from a cowboy perspective. We don't know much about cutting spurs or performance horse spurs, things like that. This will just be kind of from the cowboy perspective. So first thing we want to talk about is going to be the difference big rowel, little rowel. Just for the sake of argument, we're going to call this a big rowel and this a little rowel. And the big rowels are quite a bit easier on the horse if they have a lot of teeth like this. You can put pressure on the horse, and because the pressure is dispersed more, it's a lot easier on the horse. The smaller rowels it's a smaller area, so whenever you push, it's sharper. The pressure is quite a bit sharper. And to illustrate that, I'll show you kind of the extreme. This is an old cavalry spur. They didn't have a rowel, just this knob on the end, and that's quite a bit more severe than this small rowel here. And it's only severe if the people that are using it don't know how to use it. This is by no means severe if the guy that's using it knows how to use it. And just like the big ones, they are less severe because of the dispersal of pressure, the way they work on a horse's side. And of course, there's a lot of different sizes between this one, and they all work out good in the hands of somebody that knows how to use them. This is an old Mexico spur, and this is a large rowel, but not many points. It's very, very, very severe. Whenever you touch a horse with it, it's just like you're sticking one or two ice picks in him at the same time. That's something you really want to steer clear of. I guess the next thing that we want to talk about is the band width, and that's all pretty much personal choice. They run from about a 5/8 inch wide band all the way up to 1 1/4 inches. This one is about a 3/4. This one's 1 1/4 inches. The ropers like the small ones because they're out of their way, and they don't bother them, if they have to get off their horse, tie a calf, whatever. They're just kind of there. They can use them if they need them, but they're not in their way. The bigger, wider bands seem to fit on a boot a little better and stay down. The heavier the spur is, the more it wants to fall down and not kick up. Or if it kicks up, it usually just falls back into place. And that hinges on a couple of things like your boots. Whenever you put spurs on a pair of boots, if you can just designate a pair of boots to be your riding boots, leave the spurs on them, then the heel counter does not bail out. Whenever you don't have spurs on there and you wear those boots for an extended period of time, the heel counters bail out, and then you come back and put your spur on that's flat, and you're trying to put a flat surface on a rounded surface, and that's when they kick up in the back. And so if you can just put your spurs on a pair of boots and leave them, that works really, really good. For most of the guys that we sell spurs to, a 1-inch band seems to be the kind of the standard. They like that 1-inch width. It's not real wide, not real narrow. Just seems to work good for a lot of guys. And finally, let's talk about rowel placement. And that would be, where is the rowel in regard to the band? And if you can see here, this rowel is almost dead center in a line with the center of the band. And a lot of spurs wind up being that way, even if they have a little gooseneck to them. You can see on this spur, it goes up a little bit and then comes back down. It doesn't come down to quite center of the band, but real close. And on the placement of the rowel, what you want to do is consider your height first thing. And if you're a real tall guy and your legs hang down real far on the side of your horse, especially if you like to ride a long stirrup, then the horse's belly, where you want to touch him, is up above your foot a lot of times. So you want some lift out here, and a gooseneck that goes up and then doesn't come down a whole lot seems to work pretty good for the tall guys. And the average height guys, they seem to like something kind of in the center there, something like that. This one, it's all the same. They're in the middle of the band. And then this one is a drop shank, and it gets it down a little lower. I know a lot of guys that aren't very tall that like the drop shank. It puts it down a little farther on their side where they're not in their side all the time. The shorter legs people have, the side of the horse is just right there. So it's real easy to be gigging your horse and not knowing it. So anyhow, these are just some things that you might want to consider the next time you do buy a pair of spurs. And remember that personal preference trumps everything I said every time. Thanks for watching.